Revelation 13 describes a beast that most people refer to as the Antichrist. This is the same passage that speaks of the mark of the beast, which is 666. Today, I am going to reveal to you who is the beast of Revelation 13. The vision begins with the dragon who stood on the sand of the sea. Imagine that scene. That is the purpose of the writer. He uses imagery that is dramatic, memorable, impacting to the reader. The dragon is standing by the sand when a great beast, a monster, comes out of the sea. To this beast, the dragon gave his power, throne, and authority. In the 12th chapter, the dragon is identified as Satan. The passage depicts, in typological language, the dragon's attempt to destroy the woman. The woman typifies the people of God, those who are carrying out the ultimate plan of God for humanity. Picture that. A dragon seeking to destroy a woman. The woman can be viewed as Israel under satanic attack as seen throughout the Old Testament, or it can be the church under persecution, or it can be even a particular person, as in the case of Mary, the mother of Jesus. The dragon can manifest himself in empires. It could be a particular kingdom, or even an individual, as in the case of Herod, who sought to kill the baby Jesus. This is the simplest and most logical interpretation of Revelation 12. We discussed this on a previous video. Take a look at it and just read the chapter. It is not complicated. The beast of Revelation 13 arises out of the sea. The book interprets many waters as peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages. It has 10 horns and 7 heads with 7 crowns, just like the dragon described in chapter 12. This language simply informs us that it has great power and authority. It is a terrible, fearsome creature. The passage itself interprets it for us. It tells us that the dragon gave his power, throne, and great authority to the beast. The beast was like a leopard. It had the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. The imagery is taken from the book of Daniel, where the book presents 4 beasts. One is like a lion, one is like a leopard, and another like a bear. Each of those beasts represent empires that dominated the ancient world in their time. The Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, and the Greco-Macedonian Empire. In Daniel, the 4th beast represented the Roman Empire. In Revelation 13, the beast is Rome. The passage is obviously telling us that it had features from previous empires. Ultimately, all these empires were influenced by the same evil power. The red dragon gives life, power, and authority to all these kingdoms. The beast is said to have a mortal wound that was healed, which caused the earth to marvel and worship the beast and the dragon who gave it his authority. Keep in mind that John expected his first century readers to understand what he was saying. He who hears and reads the book is promised to receive blessings. The book was written for them, and you can be sure that they understood its message. The book of Revelation was written in the latter part of the 1st century. The Emperor Domitian was reigning during this time. This is testified to by early church fathers. Domitian was a persecutor of Christianity. We could say that he revived the persecutions of Nero, which took place some 30 years earlier. During the time of Domitian, there was a popular myth known as the Nero Redivivus legend. Nero reborn It was believed that Nero would return after his death. The legend was continued to as late as the 5th century. After the death of Nero in 68 AD, there was a civil war in the Roman Empire. There were 4 emperors fighting for power in 69 AD. At the same time, the Romans were engaged in a war to quench a Jewish rebellion that eventually saw the siege and destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. The general in charge of that war, Vespasian, emerged as the emperor. His 2 sons succeeded him as emperor, Titus and Domitian, in that order. If you were a Christian in one of those churches in Asia Minor, all of these facts and legends would have been known to you. You would have been familiar with apocalyptic writings and how it employs symbolism, mythological characters such as a dragon, exaggerations, symbolic numbers, double and triple references, and the like to convey a message. I believe that John was referring to Nero and to the empire, who were as good as dead. One of its head seemed to be mortally wounded and came back to life. Nero died, and the empire was on the verge of a collapse, but it was revived. Now, when John was writing, Domitian was the Roman emperor, and he had the characteristics of Nero, especially in how he related to Christianity. This is not a far-fetched idea to biblical theology. Jesus spoke of John the Baptist as being Elijah the prophet in a symbolic sense. He said Elijah indeed had come. Perhaps you need more evidence that this is referring to Nero. I will give you more. Revelation 13 says that the beast was given authority for 42 months to speak blasphemies against God and against his people. Also to make war on the saints and to conquer them. 42 months is roughly 3.5 years. In Revelation 12, it is said that the woman fled into the wilderness where she was protected and nourished by God for 1,260 days. Again, a period of about 3.5 years. 3.5 years is roughly the time that Jerusalem was under siege before being destroyed by the Romans under the leadership of Titus, the brother of Domitian, who was left in charge of the war by his father Vespasian. This time frame is symbolically used to refer to a time of trial, a time of conflict, a time of trouble and tribulation. It also refers to an incomplete time, a time that will come to an end. The empire was allowed to conquer the saints, the church. It was allowed to destroy Israel and to utter blasphemies against God. The church and Israel are symbolically depicted as the woman in Revelation 12. They are the people of God in this great war between God and Satan, between good and evil. In spite of the opposition and hostility of the dragon, the woman survives in the wilderness under the protection of God. Those who dwell on the earth, which is a reference to the unbelieving world, are under the authority and control of the beast and the dragon. They are those whose names are not found in the Lamb's book of life. They are not the woman. They are on the other side of the battle. The reader is then told that if they have an ear, they should hear. This is a call for those who are wise, for those who hear the words of this prophecy and keep what is written in it, for they shall be blessed. Do you have an ear to hear? The message is this: the people of God are at war against the dragon and its entities. Therefore, there will be tribulation and suffering. Those who have an ear, those who have understanding, that is, the saints of God, they have been called to have faith and to endure. Read verses 1 through 10. It's a simple message, and this is the punchline. After this, John sees another beast that comes out of the earth. I will deal with this second beast at a future video. Look for it on this channel. The second beast represents false religion and its power to influence empires, kings, and people. In John's day, there was a temple in Ephesus dedicated to the family of Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. The population of Ephesus was forced to worship the emperor as God. The second beast causes the inhabitants of the earth to worship the first beast. This is a reference to emperor worship. The recipients of the apocalypse were familiar with these practices. They lived in a region where emperor worship was widely mandated. The believers in these churches refused to participate in these rituals, and it caused them to be ostracized and persecuted. Some even lost their lives. This is reflected in the message to the churches in Revelation 2 and 3. We now have arrived at the most anticipated portion of Revelation 13. Verse 16 reads, Also it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. It, that is the second beast, causes all to be marked. The all, quote unquote, is qualified by a series of opposites that John presents. Small and great, rich and poor, free and slave. All is a reference to people from all levels of society. All does not mean every human being on the planet, as some futurists would tell us. Do you really think that this is a reference to folks living in the Amazons, in the Arctics, in Tahiti, in the deserts of the Middle East, and so forth? Come on, folks. We are going to unpack this passage one step at a time. No one can buy or sell unless they have the mark of the beast on their right hand or on their forehead. Who is the beast? I've been saying that it is Rome, personalized by Nero and later on by Domitian. Now I am going to prove it. In Hebrew gematria, every letter had a corresponding numeric value. This practice was used in the ancient world to secretly refer to the emperor. The Greek name Nero Caesar in Hebrew letters is N-R-O-N, Q-S-R-N, and it adds up to 666. But we have even more evidence. The Latin version of Nero's name in Hebrew letters drops the second N, and it adds up to 616, N-R-O-Q-S-R. The Greek version or Eastern version is 666, and the Latin version or Western version is 616. And what do you know? We actually have ancient manuscripts that have the number 616 instead of 666. Obviously, these manuscripts were directed more at Latin speakers in the Western culture. We really don't know if the original copy sent to Asia Minor had 666 or 616. But in either case, it was a reference to Nero. In addition, we have an Aramaic document from the Dead Sea Scrolls which dates to the second year of Nero's reign, and it has the Hebrew inscription derived from the Greek, which adds up to 666. We have evidence that this rendering was propagated by Jews and probably known to the congregations of the seven churches. The passage further says that the second beast causes people from all groups to be marked on their right hand or on their forehead. What is the mark? During this time, it was common practice to brand slaves with their master's name to show ownership. Pay attention to this. This is a symbolic way of saying that those who are marked have a master, and it is the emperor, the empire, and their false religion. Believers, on the other hand, receive the seal of God on their foreheads. They belong to God, and it is not a visible stamp, obviously. No one is going to walk around in heaven with a big seal stamped on their forehead. This is a symbolic reference to show that they belong to God. If one is symbolic, then the other can be symbolic as well. John also says that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. What does that mean? Emperor worship was very strong in Asia Minor. Smyrna, for example, boasted to be the first city to implement this practice. Once a year, a citizen had to burn incense on the altar to the Godhead of Caesar and proclaim Caesar is Lord, Kurios. Those who did so received a certificate. Christians who refused to engage in this practice lost their jobs, businesses, and even their lives. The recipients of the book of Revelation understood perfectly that to participate in this ritual made you a child of Satan. Your God was the empire and the emperor. They owned you. You had received the mark of the beast. The book of Revelation says, "Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast." The congregations of the seven churches in Asia Minor were expected to figure out who the beast was. It was no mystery to them. All it took was some calculations. Is Revelation 13 only applicable for them? How does all this relate to you? In his first epistle, John says, "You have heard that Antichrist is coming. So now many Antichrists have come. There's a red dragon that is constantly trying to destroy the woman. Satan is out to destroy the people of God. There are many Antichrists. However, God will nourish and protect his people in the middle of great tribulation. Believers overcome no matter what by the word of their testimony. They have the seal of God on their foreheads. Christians win at the end. Nero, Domitian, and the Roman Empire are the work of Satan. These are beasts that arise out of the sea of humanity. And these cycles play themselves and have played themselves over and over again throughout history. Adolf Hitler, Idi Amin, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi are all Antichrists. Many Antichrists will come, and indeed have come. They persecuted and killed Christians. These animals, beasts, were the hand tool of Satan, and there will be others to come. Scripture does seem to teach that there will be a final Antichrist before the return of Jesus Christ. At least that's what 2 Thessalonians seems to teach. But that's a different topic for a different time. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. Until next time, remember to live above the rest, to live the supernal life.